Hello everyone, this is Mr. B with some Algebra 2 notes. We're going to go through 2.3. We're looking primarily at slope. And again, Chapter 2 is just a kind of review of Algebra 1 concepts, so all of this should look a little bit more familiar with some maybe new notation that you haven't seen before. This isn't even used in all of Algebra 2, but it's just good notation to know. I think that it says more succinctly when you use the correct notation. So let's jump straight into it. What is slope? Basic reminder, it's the change of y over the change of x. How much rise do we get for run? So you'll hear it said many different ways. Rise over run, y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. That's just the difference between two separate y coordinates and two separate x coordinates. I like this notation here, delta y, technically, and delta x. That's just change of y and change of x. That's something that we'll use a lot in higher level mathematics like calculus and things like that, but yeah, we'll jump straight into it. First off, just kind of some reminders. Positive slopes, they're pointing up and to the right. Some people say they're pointing down and to the left. I think positive up, so up and to the right. And you can write this however you would like, really in some way that makes sense to you. What about negative slope? Negative slope is down and to the right. That's how I think of it, at least. Down and right. And then there's two more. Some of these might be familiar to you, but a zero slope is when we don't have any change of y and any amount of change of x. This would just be horizontal. And what about an undefined slope? I just say vertical here. And what does that really mean? Some people say that this is no slope, but it's really easy to get no slope and zero slope confused. Really what it is undefined. Because if we're looking at change of y over change of x, well, let's take these 2 points, for example, 2, 1 and 2, 4. Well, the change in y between these two, you can do this either way. We'll do 4 minus 1, and that's over 2 minus 2. Well, that would simplify to 3 over 0, and we know that that's not good to have, a 0 in the denominator. So that's why it's undefined. We don't really know what that is. Some people consider it 0, some people consider it infinity. It's really undefined. So that's exactly what it is, undefined. Let's do some work to really kind of get this back between our hands and the paper here. Let's see. Find the slope of lines that pass through the following pairs of points. Slope between 5, 7, and 10, 6. Well, change of y1 over change of y over change of x. So you can do this a couple different ways. I always just take the first pair minus the second. So that would be 7 minus 6 over 5 minus 10. And that would simplify to 1 over negative 5. And that's our slope. If we did this backwards, and we'll just crunch those numbers here now, if we kind of flip these around and did 6 minus 7 over 10 minus 5, we'd end up with the same answer. We would get negative 1 over positive 5, and those are the same. It doesn't really matter which direction you go here. So that would be that, negative 1 over 5. Let's see, slope between 8, 5, and negative 2, 5. Well, the change in y, we'll do that first, 5 minus 5, minus, let's see, 8 minus negative 2. So we'll get 0 over 10. So really the slope here is 0. This is going to be a horizontal line, just like this one here. Let's see, slope between negative 2, and negative 2, negative 5. Negative 2 minus negative 5 over negative 2 minus negative 2. Let's see, these can go positive. So it's really negative 2 plus 5. So we get 3 over, well, that really would go positive as well. So it's 3 over 0. This would be undefined. That's everything we're looking for there. Now, what about this one here? I'll try and fix this. Hopefully you won't see this on your notes. This weird tab thing here. Let's see, slope between 4, 8 and negative 12, negative 20. So we're dealing with bigger numbers here. Part of me suspects that we'll be able to reduce this down, which you should when you can. So let's see. Change of y, we'll start with 8 minus negative 20. And if you realize that while you're writing it out, you can just go plus 20. It is very much up to you. And that's over the change of x. So let's do 4 minus negative 12, so that's plus 12. That's going to equal 28 over 16. And I believe that's just going to simplify once. We'll get, let's see, 14 over 8. No, it'll simplify again. That'll be 7 over 4. And that's what we would want here, as simplified as we can get it. Let's see. Now we need to find slopes that are perpendicular to the slopes that we found above. And I left this blank just to write a little hint here if you need it. Really what we're looking for here, some of you may remember this, is the negative reciprocal. I'm going to double check to make sure I'm spelling that right. I think I was spelling it right, but it's just so hard to read. Let me spell that out again. We've got reciprocal, reciprocal. First off, negative, we're just going to throw a negative in there. And reciprocal, if we have some fraction, I'm not going to use x's, that might be confusing here. We'll have fraction ab. So if we're taking the negative reciprocal of fraction a over b, we would add a negative in and flip it. So it would be negative b over a. That's how we would get the negative reciprocal there. So let's start plugging them in. For negative 1 over 5, we would just get 5 over 1. We can just write that as 5. So that would be the first one there. Let's see. The negative reciprocal of 0. Well, 0 over 1 is really as simplified as it can get. You can use this number here, that 0 over 10, but 0 over 1 equals the same exact thing. I'm just going to use 0 over 1. When we flip that, we'll get negative 1 over 0. Really, that's undefined. And we'll find that a horizontal and a vertical line are perpendicular to each other. They definitely form right angles, so that would be correct. We would get an undefined for this one here. Now, what about the slope undefined? Well, same thing here. It would go from undefined, really any number over 0 to, let's see, negative 0 over 1. And the negative doesn't really matter because it's 0. So we would just get a 0 slope for that one. And for this one, probably pretty tedious at this point, but we'll do it anyway. Negative 4 over 7. You just flip it, add a negative. And that's really everything. If you guys do have any extra questions for this lesson, please swing by the room and talk to me or Miss Kavanaugh. We'll see you there.